Hello friends, welcome to episode 234 of this podcast. It's a partial Crewcast. The J-Dogs are down a member. Jeremy Jane, you're flying solo this week. What are you going to do without your buddy, Jesse?
We're hurting. The J-Boys are in a rough state. We're at 50% capacity, but, we come out here every night, and the boys give it their all, and, I feel like this is Phil Jackson, the coach of the Lakers right now.
Love it. Head down to J Crew if you want to get your official Jeremy Jane, Jesse Gracia licks. We're also joined by royalty, the king of gamer scores, Frank Howley. He just posted on social media, but 3 or 4 minutes ago, he did it. He's done it, folks. He's broken through. The glass ceiling has shattered. Frank Howley, you are no longer a sub 100,000 gamer score Luddite like myself and Jeremy. You have ascended. You will soon be getting your very own planet. Congratulations, Frank Howley. What is your gamer score right now?
It is 100,003.
Wow.
So, it's like I hit the world record. I was like, let me just set the bar a little higher just in case anyone else tries to get even near me. First man with 100,000 gamer score. It's incredible. I hope to hear from Xbox. I tagged them in it. I don't know. I feel it'd be a major flub if they don't acknowledge me. It's like,
yes.
I don't know, but I couldn't have done it without everyone's help here. Even a recent game we were capturing, I think, attributed towards my gamer score. So
beautiful.
It's incredible. So thank you guys.
Was it a game we can't talk about?
I have no idea. There's so many shades. I talk about this a lot with my friends where it's like we have stuff that's like in our Patreon we talked about, stuff that's just between the three of us, stuff that we talk about in the podcast, but don't post on social media. So I don't know, but yeah.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Was it Battlefield 3?
No,
Okay.
no. That I think I got EA gamer score, which like.
I'm so sorry. We do have a fun little Battlefield 3 video coming out soon. Jeremy just sent me the almost finished edit just about 2 minutes ago as well. So it's all kicking off here on July 1st. Welcome, folks. It's the second half of 2025. Would you believe it? And we would not be here without our incredible Battle Pass holders, Lovepreet, Ute, Dwayne the Rock Lobster, Anthony Thomas, Nico Passateri, It's a me Ferrario, Pappy Lappy, Senator Armstrong, I swear to God, I'm never going to be able to pronounce this one properly, Redredge, I think it is, Harry Flanagan, Juice, Arno, Matt Pearson, James Brown, Mark Rojas, Copernicus, Tucker Morgan, David McGarry, Goddison, Sven Huster, Pez, John Akers, Ewan Nate, Tim Robinson, Forrest Pruitt, Jonathan Kremen, Eric Hamilton Schneider, Christophe Tui, Cameron Laird, Zachary Snader, Alex Goucher, George Sakotis, Jacob Godserve, Entheogen, James Med, Tohir Tiliev, and Ryson. Thank you to all of those folks and all of you folks over at patreon.com/noclip who support us each and every month. We're working on a whole bunch of stuff. Now I'm fascinated as to what Frank was. Was it one of the Sweden games?
Yes.
Okay. Was it a Nazi game?
Yeah.
Okay. We got it. Good stuff. We have a lot of games. We have a lot of docs coming out. I am in edit world. Folks, I'm going to be like the fucking architect at the end of the third Matrix movie with the amount of screens that are going to be surrounding me for the next month. I have spent far too long dilly-dallying, spending time with my parents when they came over here. Ugh, how dare I? The people who made me. What a waste of fucking time that was. What a beautiful waste of time. And then I just came back from 2 weeks on the road. I drove 3,500 miles through some fucking goddamn America. Let me tell you.
The entire continent is like 3,000 miles, right? Like if you drive San Francisco to Boston, it's like 3,000-ish.
I think it's less. I think it's like 2.5 or something.
You could have
If we
driven
stick
across and
Alaska,
started it back.
maybe on there, and Hawaii, we just kind of wedge them to the West Coast. Maybe then it is or something. Yeah, but feels like it. I spent pretty much the entire time in mountain time, which was cool. I feel like I'm never in mountain time. No one ever cares about mountain time. Have you ever been in mountain time, Jeremy?
Where I think so. Where does mountain time begin?
Weirdly, I think it began in Eastern Oregon, which is weird because like Vegas is not in mountain time, and I think that might be further east.
Oh yeah. Arizona's mountain time. I've been to Arizona, Utah, New Mexico. I've spent a surprising amount of mountain time.
He's dabbled. Frank, what about you?
I've been to Denver. I think that's the only mountain time zone I've been in. I think.
It must be the most mountain time. Surely those are the mountains for which mountain time is named after. Slightly further east than I was, but yeah, I went to some beautiful parts of America. I basically played no video games. I brought my Steam Deck, didn't touch it.
Good.
Yeah, I guess.
I love video
yeah.
games. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
but like all the sweeter is the return to video games from your departure.
Went to Yellowstone National Park. Any of you guys been there before?
No, always wanted to go.
It's cool. Unsurprisingly, you see like an insane amount of animals all the time. We saw bison are everywhere. We had the quintessential you are stuck in traffic because bison are walking in the other lane. So I had like just bison like 2 feet from my car, just like we saw some grizzly bears out there. Saw a black
really?
bear. Yeah.
Holy
saw
shit.
Grizzly and 2 cubs. They are big, let me tell you.
That's the one I have been tent camping hundreds of times, and the only thing that ever scares me is just laying in my tent and imagining getting ripped apart by a grizzly bear.
Yeah, we're lucky in California that there are no grizzlies left.
Yeah, we're lucky they've been hunted to extinction.
Which makes
Honestly.
the fact that the California flag has that now extinct version of the grizzly bear on it. It's like the California grizzly or something.
It's because we conquered them. You know,
exactly.
We captured their soul and trapped it in a flag so they could never escape.
And then Fallout New Vegas stuck an extra head on it, which I always appreciated for the new California Republic. The coolest thing I think I saw was we saw a black wolf.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, wolves apparently are like really hard to see there. I saw some bald eagles too, but the wolves are hard to spot because they tend to be nocturnal, right? So you see them super early in the morning or late at night. And we were driving along. The way to see stuff at Yellowstone is you just look at everyone else. If you see a bunch of people stopped somewhere looking, and the guy in front of me literally pulled over, and I was like, all right, I think they know what they're doing. And I pulled in ahead of him, and they got out and looked over. And we looked over, and I was like, what is that? Is that a bear? And I was like, it looks like we were dying to see a moose. I went moose hunting in Yellowstone. I went moose hunting in the Grand Tetons. We even went moose hunting outside Salt Lake City. There's one lake where they tend to be, but in the summertime they just don't. They're just hard to find. Never saw a moose. But I was like, is that a moose? That thing is huge. And then I was like, my wife was like, I think it's a wolf, like a dog. It was massive. It was miles away. It was like maybe a quarter mile from where we were. But the thing was fucking huge. It went past a tree, and I was like, oh no. Like, that's the largest dog I've ever seen. That is terrifying. So that was pretty cool. I think that might be my favorite weird animal to see on the way.
That's awesome. Was it crowded there? I know Yellowstone is a really popular park, but
I expected it to be more so. I don't know if we were early in the season or if there's fewer tourists because of all of this, fascism. I don't know if that had contributed, but it didn't. Or maybe my expectations was that it was going to be so crazy, but it really wasn't that crazy at all. It was less than Yosemite. I did the cardinal sin of I drove back through the Eastern Sierras on Sunday, and I went to drive up the Tiago Pass and through Yosemite. And do you remember, you've done this before, even in the summer, you used to be able to get a pass to go through. You could but they'd say like, oh, you need to get through the valley, or you need to get through because you're actually going to the valley or whatever. But you need to pass through here within 2 hours. Like, you need to show the gate at the other side. They aren't doing that anymore. I had to go back. I had to drive up towards Tahoe, basically up towards Reno and across.
Oh damn.
Yeah, they sent me back, so I guess I should have gotten a pass.
Did you cross up by like Lake Mono up there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, on that side. So as you know, I had to turn around and go back. It's pretty good stretch of road to do twice. You know, if you're gonna have to do a stretch of road twice, especially after Nevada. That was grim. I drove past the Area 51 store though, so that was good fun.
What can you tell us a little bit about Area 51?
It was just like it was just Area 51, Jeremy, is a place where aliens landed in the 1950s.
What?
Of course, right? There's a popular television show based on it. There's a video game,
An arcade game.
thousands of T-shirts with little green men smoking joints. All
I know
that good
those
stuff.
guys.
Yeah, they just. So you're just driving. It was like the grimmest. 3,500 miles. Eastern Oregon was desolate. There was nothing. It was one of those like next gas station in 150 miles situations. It was just like absolutely nothing in Southeast Oregon.
Eastern Oregon is the most desolate place I've ever been in my life. I spent like a month there, like right before Noclip started filming a documentary about a town that was split into two because of their church. So half of them were like, yeah, we're like fine with gay people, and half of them were like, dancing is illegal.
Oh my god!
And Eastern Oregon is fucked, man. It's the only place I've ever been in a bar and heard just like people openly saying racial slurs. It was insane.
I got drunk in a bar in Salmon, Idaho,
Good name.
which was a great town, and there was some words said there that weren't cool. I will say that a lot of the people there were the types of folks you would expect vote red pretty easily, and they were super pissed at Trump at the moment. So that was very interesting. It was I feel like I tapped into some real American shit on this trip, because I was like, I went to a protest in Boise the next day as well. I was just in town and the protest was on, and I had to pull a skateboarder off a homeless guy who was beaten up because the homeless guy attacked him. Yeah, it was pretty gnarly.
we should just do we should just pivot to doing like Adam Curtis, or not Adam Curtis, like Louis Theroux style. Just like you go around and you're like, so like I heard you say something racist. What did you mean by that?
Yeah. What did you?
Put the mic in their face.
Yeah, the homeless guy was like clearly like tweaked out or something, and he made the cardinal sin of swinging at a skateboarder, but then grabbing his deck and running away with it. And the minute he did that, I ran over because I was like, oh no, skateboarder justice is coming. And he like jumped on him and started punching him in the face. And I pulled him off, and I got the deck off the guy. And it was outside the protest, so it was like the last thing the protest needed was this violent act happening, which had nothing to do with the protest. So I was like told the skaters to get out of there, and I was half expecting to see it on social media somewhere because the guy's face was pretty beat up. But
Jesus, you were the fucking Irish peacekeeper of the Boise protest. Yeah.
Some guy, because I was standing across the road from it because I was like sort of enjoying the protest and being part of it, but also like kind of keeping sketch, like because there was a bunch of guys like, what do they call it when they smoke up their engines? What do they do?
Rolling coal?
Rolling coal. Yeah. There's a bunch of guys fucking rolling coal past so like basically just like revving up their over gassed engine. It ruins the engines to make a bunch of smoke hit the protesters. But he kept doing it, like he kept driving down the street the wrong way. So he was only smoking me up. I was the only person on the other side of the street. And so I was just keeping sketch in case some weird shit went down, because there was a bunch of like weirdo right-wingy people kind of hanging around and doing stuff. But then I think some of the protesters thought that I was sketchy, because then one of them came over to me and was like chatting to me about stuff, and I felt like he was like checking in, and I was just like,
is doing a temperature check?
100%. That's what it felt like.
That's really funny,
because it was mostly Latino people as well at it, because of it was about the ice raids and all that sort of stuff. So I was just chatting to him, and after a couple of minutes, like he knew I was all right. But it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. It was a wild 2 weeks. I enjoyed listening to the podcast a lot. So thanks for holding it down. And thanks to Jesse Grasher for doing it. Yeah, I already told you guys a story of listening in the casino in Vegas, and getting interrupted by a sex worker at one stage. So
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm listening to my gaming podcast
yes,
right now.
we are talking about Stephen King right now. If you don't mind, please don't interrupt me. Have a good night. I'm married. And I'm playing this Game of Thrones.
But more
slot
importantly,
machine.
the gaming podcast and the Game of Thrones slot machine. Oh, also, I'm married as a side note.
Exactly. I went in. I don't bet our patrons money. Except like when I go to Vegas.
Except when I win.
Except when I win, and I put like $50 down, and I walked away with over 700. So I'm feeling pretty good about my time in Vegas. Paid for the hotel. But we're not here to talk about road trips. I don't think. Or maybe we are actually in one of these games. We'll have to find out. We're going to talk about some video games. We're going to talk about Ruffy and the Riverside, which just came out. Jeremy's played that in the past as well. I think that was in one of our games of was it a Summer Game Fest video or something? We did it at one stage.
Next Fest video.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's some interesting contrast between the demo and the game, so we'll get into it.
Excellent. Frank's played Rematch as well as Umamusume Pretty Derby. And I'm going to talk about a popular walking simulator starting with D, which you've probably heard a little bit about. But we'll get to that one. How's the past couple of weeks been, aside from playing video games? How's the summer been? What you guys been up to? Does it feel summery where you are, Frank?
Yeah, actually, because now the schools are out, so I can ride my bike uninterrupted. Because like traffic flow in my area gets so messed up with like cars and kids and people, So now the street, So yeah, it's been like hot, but turn on the AC. I've like now recovered from like the Summer Games Fest, Jet Set Radio, like. Now Anime Expo's next week or this week actually.
Nice.
Yeah, everything's I don't know. Yeah, I it's so weird. Like I'm such a I guess hermit. Like I don't go to the beach or any actual like barbecue. I don't do any of that. So it's like I see people are doing that, but I don't know. But yeah, everything's fine.
You have a busy summer though, right? You got like a lot of. You're going to Japan again.
Yeah.
You're going to go. You're heading up to. You're going to do some PAX stuff as well.
Yeah, so see as things get confirmed. But yeah, I feel like PAX, we always plan for it. I feel like last year was the anomaly because we were in another country.
I forgot about that. Where were we? Can we say?
Yeah, I think. I mean, we were in. I went to Japan, then we went to Korea for a project.
Oh yes, yeah.
Because if PAX wasn't happening this year, I was gonna go with a friend to every year end of summer. It's the Tokyo Deathmatch Carnival. But it's the same weekend as PAX. And for a second, I was like, I wonder if I could still do that and then fly over. But it's okay. Instead, I'm shifting it, going a week earlier. But yeah, PAX is always good. Even Jesse kind of commented, like, PAX Prime is the real PAX. Like, PAX East, PAX South was decimated. But yeah,
Shots fired, Jeremy.
Hey, I said it yesterday during the meeting. We like our underdog PAX over here.
Oh
yeah. No, PAX East is chill, but PAX Prime I feel like still has a little bit of the juice, and like it's definitely wavered up and down, but it's always a good time. I just like Seattle. I mean, we spent so much time in Seattle.
We spent so much time in Seattle.
I like Seattle though. I do like.
Jesus, between Dwarf Fortress, all those Half-Life documentaries, I've turned down Bungie like 15 times, probably just because we've been to fucking. That's not the only reason. There's a lot of documentaries I'm glad we didn't start because we probably couldn't have been able to finish them. But yeah, we've spent a lot of time up there. I do miss that San Antonio PAX South. That was a weird one. That was the one that felt most like just like a regional con, Felt like I've never been to what's the one in Baltimore again every year in that?
Oh, MagFest?
MagFest, yeah.
That's supposed to be a fun one.
Yeah, I lived like down the road from it for years and never went because I had a stupid kid. So,
I hope she never hears this.
Yeah, no, she won't, no.
You didn't raise her to listen to gaming podcasts.
She wants to come on the if we get a panel at PAX, she wants to come on stage. So we'll have to see about that. The big reveal, of my fake family that I made up. So it's gonna be awkward.
It's less sad how much time you spend editing if there's like a loving family when you step away from the computer.
I just concentrate all my family time into 2 weeks of road trips, and then I never see them for the rest of the year.
You just hug them for 2 weeks, and then you're like, all right, Daddy's going to go make more documentaries for the next 50 weeks.
Looks like we made some memories, family. I've
got the photos to prove it.
Exactly, 100%. You just put them all over the walls. Nobody can, you Your Honor, I don't think I should have to pay child support. Look at all these pictures. I was a good dad.
And he's like, why? It's weird that they're all in mountain time, though. Like, it's almost as if they were concentrated into some sort of 3,000-mile odyssey.
Yeah, why are they all taking place in front of this one Jeep Wrangler?
There's different angles of one mesa from different angles.
Over and over again. I feel vindicated by that. Anyway, how's your summer going, Jeremy?
Good. It's very getting used to the humidity again is bizarre, but I kind of like it. It was the one thing I thought I would hate about moving back out to the East Coast, but it's kind of like stepping outside at 4 a.m. and it's 85 degrees and to 90% humidity. It's kind of magical. There's something about it. Yeah, I don't know.
You got cicadas going on there. You guys get them?
Don't remember. God, they come out infrequently. It's not like every summer thing. I don't know actually if there's cicadas up here. I feel like there were cicadas when I was a kid, but don't they come out like every few years or something?
They're every summer, but they do their brood every 14 years.
Okay.
Just after I left. Any lightning bugs?
Yes, I saw a fire when I went out at 4 a.m. the other day. I saw one firefly sitting on the ground, and I was like,
Beautiful.
This is magical. This is childhood. But
stick it in a jar, man.
yeah, no, I had to let it be free range. Although the next day I looked outside in the same spot and it was dead and ants were eating it. So
Jesus Christ.
It wasn't that magic. The magic dried up as soon as the sun rose. But yeah, no, it's been nice being here. I haven't done anything too summery since I went kayaking a few weeks ago. But
nice.
Just been doing a bunch of game dev, and I've been doing research about like where the swim spots are out here. Because after 12 years in California, I knew where like if you go to this hiking trail and then after a mile you like go left into the woods and walk for a mile, you end up at like a river nobody knows about. And I kind of don't have that here because I was like when I was 17, 18, I moved to Boston and then I just lived in the city until I moved to California.
Right.
So, from the time I got my license at like 15, 16, whatever, until I moved was only like a short period of time in high school. So
is the ocean warmer up there?
I feel like it's freezing.
Is it same as California?
It's
Northern
brutal.
California.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
But
so
I'm getting
unfair.
out there. I'm
Moved
getting
to
out
California.
there soon.
I was like, move to California, man. You get, Frank's laughing because he lives down in SoCal and it's nice and, temperate down there. You get that Gulf Mexican heat as well. It comes up, but up here, man, jump in the middle of July, freeze your nuts off. Does not care.
Yeah. You
And
gotta
also,
wait till
like,
the hottest day of the year.
And it's also just like the waves on the West Coast are just always intense. There's like a couple of beaches you go to where it's chill, but like a lot of places you stop, it's just like, I'll get sucked out in like 2 seconds there. I'm not going anywhere near that.
It's also the what is it called? It's not the Emerald Triangle. That's where they grow pot up north. What's it's the Red Triangle. It's like the highest incidence of shark attacks or shark sightings or something is like
really?
I think it's from maybe just north, like Monterey area up till somewhere in the North Coast is like
really?
highest incidence of sharks maybe in North America. I can't remember what it is.
The Red Triangle. Sounds like there's a bunch of communists up here.
Yeah.
Communist submarines we don't know about.
I did just Google Red Triangle. The first thing that came up was something about the Arab Revolt. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It sounds like the name of like a Tom Clancy simulator game or something.
Oh, wait, here it is. Around 38% of recorded great white shark attacks on humans in the U.S. have occurred within the Red Triangle.
Great white as well. Like
that's the bad one. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
Big
that is
Sur up
bad.
to like Santa Rosa-ish, like the northern tip of Marin.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's grim. Ugh, don't like that at all. None of those in Yellowstone, let me tell you. Or Utah or any of that stuff. Saw a lot of Mormon temples though. It's a good time.
I don't know anything about. Did you pop in and say what's up, or are they not?
They don't
cool
let
with
you
that?
inside.
I didn't think so.
You gotta wear the magic pants, I think, to go inside. I don't know. Mormon, let me say, Salt Lake City, a lot of kids' activities because everyone seems to have like 4 of them. There's like a lot of getting the numbers up in Salt Lake City. I felt like
bounce houses, or like what are we talking?
yeah, all of the above: escape rooms, bounce houses, tag places.
So wait, tag places.
you
I didn't know they had
like
commercialized tag. Oh, okay, laser tag.
Laser tag.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, cinemas, just kind of anything that's mildly. Hey, I've got 4 kids and I need somewhere to put them for 4 hours. With their 16 cousins, that was kind of the vibe of Salt Lake City. It was, yeah, it seemed it seemed pleasant and also just like incredibly boring. So, hey, each to their own. Do your thing. You got any plans for the rest of the summer? How's your kayaking going? You going river? You going sea?
It's sort of in between. There's a river that links up to the Atlantic Ocean, so it's sort of like a
I've heard of that ocean.
It's one of the oceans. It's a salt marsh. So it's the benefit of no sharks destroying your kayak and eating you, but also there is some sea life. So I took my buddy out for his birthday a few weeks ago, and we saw just like a fucking live horseshoe crab, 2 horseshoe crabs. Just
nice.
Yeah, I've never seen a live one. I've only ever seen their dead husk on the beach washed up somewhere. So yeah, it's cool. It's just like this sort of like brackish, very quiet marsh that you just sort of like silently float through. But it's tidal, so it like flows in and out and has a bunch of cool life in it. But yeah, it's awesome. Kayaking is I highly recommend kayaking. Even if I feel like every time I mention it to someone, they're like, "Oh, that's scary. What if you like flip over and die?" And it's like, no, it's not like whitewater rafting. It's just like it's like canoeing but smaller.
Right. Yeah, it's just having a boat.
Yeah, it's just a little personal boat. It's awesome.
A personal boat. I love it. Let's talk about some video games, folks. I'm going to start with Frank Howley because he is, as we all know, a massive fan of the sport of soccer. Football, if you will, the beautiful game, and some people over in France who make games about old Asian dancer fighter men. I've never played Sifu. You guys, people who get old when they fight. There was a good episode of that Amazon show about it. I watched that. They made REMATCH. This. What are you going to call it? Soccer. It's Rocket League, Soccer League. Is that what we're calling it? It's
Foot League.
Foot League. It's an arcadey online. You control one player 5v5 football game. No official licenses or anything like that. Sort of has a bit of a Rocket League-y vibe in terms of its presentation. Let's say. I played a bunch of the. It wasn't a demo. It was a beta that was on a couple of months ago. I think I talked about it on the pod. I really enjoyed it, but didn't play more than a couple of hours. Frank, how are you enjoying REMATCH?
I am so surprised because like I've never cared about football, or just like I'm not trying to be like one of those anti-sports whatever, but it's just like I don't know, it's just such a giant world for me to get into. I don't know. I don't know. I'm in Los Angeles. I'm out in Europe. Whatever. I know there's global teams everywhere. Whatever.
Hey man, you got LA Galaxy right there.
LA Galaxy. Yeah. I'm trying to get into LA Sparks. I started playing NBA 2K25. There's a WNBA league, and so you play. It's like and tickets are so cheap. But for REMATCH, I had a friend suggest it to me. It's on Game Pass. If this wasn't on Game Pass, I probably wouldn't have tried it. I think is it 30 or 40?
It's $30 on Steam and consoles.
Okay.
I think you can buy a $40 or $50 edition of it, but it's $30.
All games have a gratuity fee now. If you want to pay the extra, we never found out what came in the Mind's Eye Deluxe Edition either. Same thing on this page. It doesn't say what's in the Pro or Elite Edition, but if you just really like soccer, you can pay $20 a month for it. But I will say, having played REMATCH, it is worth it. So I am blown away by REMATCH. I think every match is like 7 minutes long. If a team gets 4 points above, a mercy rule is enacted and the game is immediately over. Yeah, you're just playing as one person. There's like 3 modes. There's like 3v3, 4v4 for 5v5. I found my sweet spot in the 4v4. 3v3 is like too much pressure. So it's like when the round starts, one player is randomly assigned the goalkeeper, and then the other guys are on the field. You can completely ignore the goal as you'll be if you're teamed up with a random player. Like, I play this game and I get so frustrated and angry, but when you're good, it's the best feeling in the world. The thing that makes this game unique is it's very much like Rocket League, where the walls become such an important factor in the play. You can bounce the ball off the walls, and people are constantly doing a thing where they'll like kick the ball above the goal, it bounces back, and a different teammate will kick it in. And so you can also, like, I'm sure this is in regular football too, but like the physics is a big part of it. As you're rushing past like defenders, you can like kick up the ball and, I don't know, dribble it or do crazy. It's almost like NBA Jam or an NBA Street. Like, playing this game feels like very much like EA Sports, EA big games like SSX, NBA Street, all those where it's very arcadey, fast, and fun. There is a turbo button, and you can like double tap it to do like an extra like boost and sprint. And so a big part of the game is like managing your turbo ability, being very like this is me describing soccer, being mindful of all the players on the field so you can pass the ball. But again, what's fascinating is you're just one player and you're just teamed up with randoms, or if you're playing with friends. And I discovered that joy just even recently playing the NBA games where in the career mode, you're just one player. So you have to, you can't just tap A to switch to the person closest to the ball. So it really forces you to like be mindful of the entire field, shifting from defense and offense. And like, it's as someone who's like kind of really ignored sports their whole life, this is so exhilarating and fun to play. And an extra sweet spot with it is the soundtrack is like this intense, like Grand Theft Auto heist music. It is so intense. And like every time the points shift, it's like the music like starts ticking like a clock, like Michael Mann's Heat or something. It's like, it is so intense. But when you get points, it's so satisfying. My brain was starting to have like I played so much yesterday, and like playing this game crossed me into 100,000 gamer score. I just couldn't stop playing it.
Oh, nice.
When I was in bed resting, my brain had the Tetris effect where I was imagining rematch, and I was like, oh, I screwed up that goal. How could I do this better? And yeah, it's such an incredible game. But again, like I remember feeling this juice a decade ago when all my friends that I got into Rocket League. So yeah, rematch is phenomenal.
Don't say a decade ago. You're right. It was about 10 years ago. Jesus.
And so there's the only negative thing I will say for now is there's no crossplay. I think they said that's in their roadmap. They just couldn't get in time for launch, because I have so many friends who want to play this. I have friends who have it on PlayStation, whatever. I've had friends who like got it on PC Game Pass just to play with me. So it's like, but now it's like, oh, I want to be able to play on Play. I don't want to have to rebuy the game 3 times, but
right. Especially for $30.
Yeah, so it's like and I'm surprised there's like not a free to play edition, but yeah, $30, I will say it's worth it. I wish I don't know if there is a demo, because like I was someone I wouldn't have played it if it wasn't for Xbox Game Pass, but I am shocked how fun this game is. So I really like it.
So is there much single player stuff in here at all, or is it just online?
It's like there is like a single player tutorial stuff. I think they're called workshops, and it's just like very like, all right, I don't know. I basically didn't try the workshop stuff. I just kept. But
there's no like story or league or anything like that. You can't.
There's no CPU players or AI. It is straight up like always online. Do this. The workshops are more so like, as you're queuing for a game basically, and you can free play on the field to just practice your dribbling and kicking and juggling and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not. That's the kind of negative, because like if there was a single player career mode, I would love that, because that's what NBA 2K has. But yeah, I think they just want you to play online. But yeah, but playing online even with randoms is very fun.
It's interesting. I wonder how much this game is going to benefit from the sort of like FIFA backlash over the past few years, the like content sort of oversaturation that's in that game, and how difficult it is to do anything new with it. Because the FIFA Street games have existed in the past, right? And they're similar to this, but obviously in this it's way more online focused. You're controlling one player and all that sort of stuff. And what I like hearing you talk about it, Frank, is basically the stuff that you do when you are playing football is like, it's like finding space, like running onto a ball when someone else has it, getting into a decent part of the field where if they cross it to you, you have a shot on goal, you're away from a defender. I've seen when I was playing the beta, people were pretty new at it, but around the end of the beta, you could start to see people using the like dribbling skills and being able to like, one-on-one people and flick the ball over them or deke them or whatever. So I suspect there's a pretty high degree of people doing that now, now that they've gotten good at it, which seems pretty cool. Am I right in remembering that the goalkeeper is last man back, right? That's the term we used to call when we were playing?
Oh yeah,
when we were kids. So like the person who's at the back basically is the goalkeeper. Is that how it works in this? If
I
you're
think
the closest to the goal?
Yeah. So like if someone else leaves and whoever is, I guess, last man back, you immediately get the controls, and multiple people can just like run up and do it. But whoever is assigned goalkeeper is the only one who could actually grab the ball
and dive as well, because the controls do change. You get gloves and. Right.
Yeah, so I think it's like B is to dive and then triangle is to jump up for it. But yeah, it's and again, I've expressed this anxiety because I'll start playing online, and like if someone's new at the game, they don't know that they're assigned the goalie, and they'll just leave the goalpost, and you can't like stream. The only thing you can do, and I think Rocket League, is you can do sarcastics. Thank you.
Oh,
like,
brilliant!
When people screw up, there's like, good job, thank you, thank you. Everyone's being so sardonic and like thanks. Like I'll just spam it and like, but it's like I don't know. That's the game. It's like. That's part of it, I guess, is getting angry. But yeah.
Awesome. We have to play some for a quick look this week. I'll get some time in. in the next few days and give it a go. My favorite thing about this on Steam, it is in the category football parentheses soccer. So even Steam can't quite get away from that particular piece of vocabulary, political vocabulary. Anything else to say about Rematch?
Yeah, I guess the other thing too is like I haven't played a proper FIFA game, but there's no penalties, no flags or anything like that. So you can you're constantly like slide tackling to like push the ball, and the enemy will trip. I don't know if you use the term enemy, other like
Enemy. I love that.
Whatever. So like it's just chaotic because like even recently I've been playing the NBA 2K games. I always try to steal the ball and I get fouled out, and it's like what the hell? That's not NBA Jam rules. So I like also going to this not knowing the proper rules of football.
Right.
But it's again, I equate to like NBA Jam, where it gets so fun. And then, yeah, as soon as I played with like 2 friends on Discord, we were crushing the enemy team. So like, we're not doing ranked. I'm sure if we did ranked, we'll get into stacks and stuff, but doing quick play casual stuff. There's XP, you unlock more cosmetics. I think there's a battle pass, but it's all cosmetics. There's no skill trees. There's no armor. There's no like, none of that crap to push the skill gap. It really is like learn the controls and then start doing the crazy tech, but communication with teams and passing the ball, which doesn't happen if you're playing with randoms usually. So
Which I also think is something that doesn't happen very much in Rocket League. Like Rocket League is a game about what sport is it like? It's almost like when you're kicking the ball forward in rugby or something, where you're putting the ball into an area and then hoping that the next player can get it into the next area that's closer to the goal. It's way less specific. Whereas in this, when you're passing directly to people, you know where you're shooting the ball, which in Rocket League, you're mostly just trying to hit the ball towards the goal. It's less specific. So in many ways, it's also different to Rocket League. The accuracy changes the moment-to-moment gameplay quite a bit. That's Rematch. It's available on a bunch of stuff made by Slow Clap. Congrats to those folks. You can buy it for $30, get it for free on Game Pass if you're paying for that, or spend $50 for the Elite Edition, which, like Frank said, I do not know what's in the pack. Oh wait, here we go. For the for the Pro Edition, which is only $10 more than the MSRP, you get, it's got 7 reviews, so that shows you how many people have bought it. The game, by the way, on Steam has 17,000 reviews.
Holy shit.
So it's doing quite well. You get Captain Pass upgrade ticket, which elevates your game and your rewards step by step. That might be the most
That doesn't tell you
vague
anything.
piece of copy I've ever read. That is shocking.
Elevate your game.
You get the Blazon player background and title. Showcase your identity with an epic design that makes a statement as unique as you are. The Blazon buckler tank top, I'm saying Blazon, it's one word, so it might just be Blazon. Blazon pattern and the Blazon jewel set. So you get a bunch of shit, and then for the Elite Edition, which costs $10 more than that, you get 2 of those Captain Pass upgrade tickets. Double the rewards, double the swag. You get glitched trainers. Trainers is football boots, for those of you who weren't born in Trainerland. You get the Blazon augmented reality cage. Brings each match to life with a vibrant Blazon display that celebrates every goal. So presumably when you score a goal, it does that crazy animation thing. You can get the Blazon augmented reality cage. You get the Blazon cap, Blazon player background, Blazon buckler, tank top, Blazon pattern, and of course the Blazon jewel set. So that sounds like a bunch of wank to me. But,
I have heard the word emblazon a million times. I just Googled blazon, and to emblazon is to like put an insignia on something, to like inscribe it with a design. The blazon is either the verb to display prominently or vividly, or it is like to describe or depict armorial bearings in a correct heraldic manner. That's a great set of words. But like that's the fucking that's like the crest. I've never heard blazon before, other than when my friends ask if I want to smoke a blunt.
Blazon. I managed to pronounce it 2 different ways that were wrong.
Blazon.
Blazon. I mean, the game was made in France. Blazon.
That's probably how they said it.
Oui. Blazon. Did you get the Blazon augmented reality cage?
I did see one guy with like the glitch trainers on. I was like, what the hell is that? Now I know he paid $20 more than me. So
wow.
I don't know.
So he's probably a Saudi prince or something. That's pretty cool. Okay, I'm going to talk about my video game if you don't mind, Jeremy.
Yeah.
We've all been waiting for some coverage of this one. Of course, I was away. I was playing this before I went on my vacation. So it's probably about time I talked about this game. Have either of you guys played it?
No, I still got to play the first one.
You still got to play the first one. Frank, have you played it?
I want to finish Death Stranding 1 before getting to Death Stranding 2. So,
I'm not talking about Death Stranding, my friends. I'm talking about Dune Awakening.
No. Also have not played that.
Psych.
That's after we covered DS2 last week and it was Dark Souls 2.
Yeah.
I feel like truly we're fucking with everyone right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I played some Death Stranding too. We'll talk about that some other time. I don't really care. It's so tiring. I feel like it's so exhausting talking about that game. I want to talk about Dune Awakening because I played this game before I went away, and I was super bummed because I played it right after we recorded last time, and I played a bunch of it that night, and then I could not stop playing it. I played like 12 hours that week until I left to on my road trip like Friday morning. So in like 2.5 days or something. Dune Awakening is from Funcom. It is I guess we're calling these things MMOs. I don't really know. It's somewhere between Valheim. It's like a Valheim-ish crafty game. But it's all online. You are PvP and there's PvE in this. And essentially it is a game that is set in an alternative reality version of Arrakis, where you are you sort of crash land, as it were, on the planet, and you have to survive and build bases and make stuff. And I fucking love it. It has so much unique, weird stuff in here. That has kept me in. I am soloing it. I am not playing in a group. You totally can, much like other ones of these sort of survival, open world crafting things. It's got such a great style to it, and it I don't know. It vibes off of the Dune lore in like very cool ways that like show its teeth, I guess, in the gameplay as well, which is pretty cool.
What is this? So is this like? I feel like this is like Rust and Star Wars Galaxies. Is that accurate?
Oh man, maybe. I don't know if I would say the quests and stories have the weight of a Star Wars Galaxy or even like, a World of Warcraft. A lot of this is self-propelled, more like Rust, where you are sort of unlocking the next tech tree of stuff, which makes things easier or better or things like that. So pretty much right away, they basically go, yo, dog, you need to make yourself a place to live, because I don't know if you know anything about this planet, but it's super fucking hot during the day, and you're not going to want to be in the heat too much. So I love how, I just think this is so cool. There's so many parts of this game that feel totally different to any other game because of Dune stuff. So right from the off, when you're playing this game at the start, you just cannot be in the sun. Like, you need to hug the shade. And like, I don't know a 3D character action game where I have had to worry about the shade before. It's like a really interesting, and the sun is moving, right? Because it's a sun and you're on a planet. So the shade is changing and you are trying to like basically stay on the right side of that. You also have to worry about water. There is like certain plants that you can get a certain amount of water from. But if you really want to get water, what you need to do is kill some people. And you need to steal their water. You need to suck the blood out of them with like a tool. You can ingest that blood and get some water from it, which is super gross. It's like a last sort of option. But what you mostly do is bring all that blood back to your base and use like a fucking blood water converter to turn that blood into water, which then you suck on, which is awesome. You get to upgrade your still suit to various levels of like, heat damage and things like that. And then the thing you have to worry about, especially at the start, is crossing the sand. Because as Fatboy Slim said, walk without rhythm and you won't attract the worm. I don't think there is a way to like sand walk in this. Maybe there is, but basically when you're running across the sand, there is like a little earthquake monitor thing which tells you if the worm is getting annoyed by you, and like the more you do it, the more it goes up, and then you hear like epic music happen, and then you see like the, you know, Shai Hulud coming at you from like the other side of the map, and it's like, ah, and then if you don't get off the sand, you're dead zone. And so that's a really good way of basically like making it so at a certain point you need to get like vehicles. You need to get like a little sand. There's like, and the next biome, the next area of desert you need to get to, you can't run across without the worm catching you. I mean, you could try, but like it's basically impossible. So you need to get yourself a little buggy for that. You can build yourself an ornithopter, so eventually people are flying around in this thing. Yeah, and it's just like even down to the cutting of stone in this game is so smart. Like if you're looking to like get materials, you can't just crack into any big mountain or anything like that. But there are certain like rocks that are there that like, oh, clearly I can mine this. And the tool that you use to mine, you right click first and it scans the rock, and then it displays on the rock where you should cut for the whole. Basically, like, here's the weak point, cut here, and then you use the left trigger on your mouse to basically draw the cut on the rock where it is.
Oh, that's really cool.
It's so nice. And it like every time it's different, and every time it's like, and it feels like accurate to the materials. Like sometimes you'll find like, man-made metal things that you want to cut up, and you just, there's like a seam on it that you can cut and it'll all fall apart. Sometimes when you're exploring, like the dungeons in this game are basically like crashed ships and, caves, networks and stuff like that you go into. Some of those have doors that you cut with that same tool, and it all just feels very in-world and novel, and like it makes sense. It doesn't feel gimmicky. Like the blood for water doesn't feel gimmicky. The sandworm doesn't. The sun doesn't. It feels like these are things that make sense within the rule set of the world. Even the combat, because the combat, like, yes, you have the whole thing about Dune is there's no, like, people don't use guns, right? So like that's hard. That's a hard video game to I guess the whole thing about Dune is that people don't use thinking machines. That's actually the thing about Dune, is that they banned thinking machines and AI and all that stuff, and don't use technology that does that. But the other thing is that everyone has those shields on, so there's no point in using bullets, right? Because bullets can bounce off the shields. Of course, if you just are like some low level person on the planet, then you all don't have shields, probably. So you are shooting a lot of people. You're using guns and stuff. But then every once in a while, some weirdo will start running at you and you shoot at them and they've a shield on. You're like, uh-oh. And they're coming at you with a knife. And then you have to swap to your knife. And then it is straight up like you're Dark Souls parrying the knife. Like it turns from, oh, I was doing a shooty arcadey kind of game to I have to right click when they go for me. And then I need to like hit them and then do the whole like you hold down the button to attack them and they do the slow through the shield thing like they do in the new Denis Villeneuve movie, and then you stab them, and if they're really good you have to do it a couple of times, or if they're a low level enemy you just have to do it once. But it just means there's all these really interesting mechanical elements to one of these survival crafty building games that feel completely earned within the universe, which I think this is about as good a adaptation of an existing media or world that I've seen in a video game, full stop. It's so all of those decisions, those design decisions add to the world in a really cool way.
That's awesome. Yeah, I would like to check this out. I feel like no game has really filled the Valheim shaped hole in my life.
Right.
And I have tried a lot of them. Enshrouded came pretty close, but it kind of like didn't quite have the staying power, and kind of had like, it tried to be a little bit of like a quest-driven RPG and then wasn't. It seems like this one is kind of just embracing the sandbox more so.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think in Tread it sort of had a 1.5 feet in that world and didn't feel as strong in that way as some other games did. And this game very much is the, go to a trader, get an easy job, go do it, deliver the stuff, do the thing, that's what you do to get like credits and money and notoriety and stuff like that. And then your story is sort of like the main, it's almost like the golden path of this game is the tech tree. And for the opening, maybe for the whole game, but definitely for the opening like 6 hours, it is, you have one person who is basically guiding you through it all and telling you what to do. And they're sort of like a mentor in the world, and they're saying like, you need to do this now and this is your thing. And then you have like a, you know, there are elements of the spice in here, and you know, having dreams, and you know, there's other stuff going on as well, which is pretty cool. I'm also like, you get to pick your character to start, and my backstory was I was like trained by a Bene Gesserit who was sort of shouldn't have been training me. So I have the voice, so I'm able to like in combat like shout at somebody and they'll walk towards me, and then I can just like stab them pretty good, and then their buddy's like, what are you doing, and all that stuff. So that's a good time. And just like fun emergent things happen in this. Like your buggy breaks, like I had a buggy breakdown just in the worst possible place. I was just like in between sandworms, basically. My buggy, like the battery went on it. I'd been fixing up all the other parts of it and didn't realize that the engine could break or something on its own. And I was like, oh shit. And then I had like this prolonged, you know, survival experience to try and get back. Or like when I moved base, because you can only have one home base, I had to like go back and forth to I didn't have to, but I didn't want to leave all my stuff at my old base. So I did like spent like 3 hours just doing runs back and forth, collecting all my stuff, and then like, you know, staying out a little bit too long during the day and getting into trouble. And it's all those emergent moments that are like the beauty of sandbox games. I've had a lot of that stuff happen. And maybe that's a good point to transition to Death Stranding, because I think that's ultimately what I've been thinking a lot about with Death Stranding is like, Death Stranding is a game that like wants to be systemic. It has all these like systems in it, but like none of them interact with each other. It's like a broken immersive sim where like nothing was, you know, the reason Death Stranding 1 is compelling. I don't know if these games are good. I think they're interesting. The first one I found interesting. The story is complete nonsense, but it's like shot well and acted well. I think Kojima might be Neil Breen with a budget, and also like with like cinematic skills. You know what I mean? But like no storytelling skills at all. Like I don't. These games do not have. I had to Google if he had children, because I was like, no way this guy has kids if he's writing all this. And
Even because the bedtime stories are like incomprehensible.
It's just like how people relate to children in Death Stranding 2 is like a very, very weird, like, what? Like nobody talks or thinks. Like in a sci-fi Metal Gear Solid world, it didn't matter that like none of these characters' motivations were believable at all. You know, man made of bees or whatever. Like it was pulpy and almost manga-like. Like it was like, whatever, you know? Whereas in this, it feels very odd, some of it. I don't know. It's funny and weird and interesting, and it looks great, and the world design is brilliant and all that sort of stuff. But from a gameplay perspective, these games have like, it's like, oh, your boots break. Okay. Make new boots. Do it in a menu. This game, the Death Stranding 2 is another game plagued by menus, which is sort of like a Kojima problem, I think, especially post like anything basically past Metal Gear Solid 2. Like Metal Gear Solid 3 had massive problems with like, oh, I got to put on this camo now. I got to do this. There's so much like work. And then they kind of fixed some of that for 4. But I don't know. To me, I was just like, oh, here are all the things that could be happening in this game if like, you know, I get what they're, it's just so, I don't know. It feels like a game, a systemic game where nothing is connected to anything else. So it doesn't matter. So all you're doing is spinning plates. There's no domino effect that happens in Death Stranding. So I don't know. I will play more Death Stranding too. It looks very good, and I want to see what weird things happen in the game. But that's about it. It's kind of like a freak show. You know what I mean?
Because of Doll Man?
Doll Man doesn't help. Tar Man doesn't help. And I hear there's a VTuber in there. Somebody said I saw it somewhere. There's some, hey, look, Conan O'Brien was in the last one, so why not? But I kind of think that's what Death Stranding is. Like, the more because it's not the story, it's not the mechanics of the game. Like, it's sort of pure entertainment. Like, whenever you're doing anything, whenever you have a long way to go, the game puts on a song for you and makes the camera zoom out, almost like they're like, yeah, this is fucking boring, isn't it? We gotta do something here. We can't just have them walk. We need to, like, what's the name of the band, the music that's always in all those ones? There was like one band that was like every fucking song at Death Stranding one, whatever it is. Let's play some music and have the cinematic camera take over. And it looks great. So you're like, yeah, this looks good. Look at Sam Porter Bridges running across this fucking dirt in Mexico. And it's just, it tricks you into like not getting bored. But I think the reason people play these games is the same reason people used to go to freak shows, because it's just weird. Like, it's weird and it's well presented. It's a good show. It's dinner and a show. And then it's over, and then you talk to your friend about that weird thing you saw. Nobody's talking about this game in any of the emotional terms that I'm sure the creators wish they were. Same as the first game. Nobody was like, yeah, man, that was really about how we connected as people. But we like it because it's weird and had a baby in a jar. Baby in a jar. You know where you'd see a baby in a jar?
At a freak show.
At a freak show, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's interesting. It's like, I don't know. I think it's indicative. Again, I haven't played either of the Death Stranding games. I'm just sort of like tangentially familiar with them. But it does feel like maybe it's indicative that people are just like starving for weirdness in games.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I'm struggling to think of a specific like other AAA, quad A, whatever example of another like weirdo game where people were like, it's like rough around the edges and it's boring sometimes, but like, fuck, I love that weird. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's getting a bit more of a pass because it's in sort of like, it's an oasis of weirdness in a landscape of pretty ordinary games that feel inspired by other ordinary games.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think that's why Metal Gear Solid, those games had a lot of that weird, but also, they were largely like the good mechanics and boss fights were interesting and novel and thoughtful and all those things. And I don't know. I feel like when I saw all of I don't know how did it review super well? I saw like somebody posted and like I did not like the first one. I did a review on my YouTube channel, and my sort of synopsis at that time was that it was like a Lars von Trier movie. I don't know if this was good or bad, but it was clearly the vision of the director, and I feel like I went on a journey with them, and it was interesting. And that's how I feel about a lot of, there's some ones I like more than others. I think Melancholia is one that like I connected with on some level. But that's what I felt like about this, except I would probably retract the emotional. I don't think anyone has any emotional connections to these games at all. I've never heard anyone say that they were moved by Death Stranding 1. So I take that one away. But I do feel like I'm just going to look at the Metacritic because I haven't even had a choice. Yeah, it's got 90. Is it 90? I'm guessing the day the reviews went up, it had a higher one. I bet there was a lot of that. But I do think there is a decent amount of, I don't want to necessarily call it Emperor's New Clothes. I think we don't quite know why this game is good or bad. I think there's like I think it is so different. And maybe that's enough for it to be good. Maybe different is enough. But it doesn't fall into categorization in a way that I think makes it hard for people to critique it as well. I don't know.
Which,
I don't know.
To its credit, is sort of like, that is an interesting thing to pull off, is to buck off genre and be something that is hard to categorize. Like, to me, that is something that is praiseworthy, even if the thing itself is, boring or frictional or weird. Just having a game and being like, I don't know what kind of, like, if I saw a movie and someone was like, so is it like horror, is it like action, is it comedy, and I didn't know how to answer that question, I feel like that'd be like that movie did something cool.
I'm glad it exists. I think what I'm fighting back against maybe is that there is the resources used and talents used to make this game. There's probably a better game to be making here. Like, I think that's what I feel about it. It's less so that like the world is a more colorful place because Death Stranding 1 and 2 exist. Like, I'm not going to say that, and I think it's awesome that they do. But like, yeah, there's only so many games you can make, and I don't know. It just feels there's something weird about it. I don't know what it is.
I have mixed feelings about Kojima being so obsessed with like actors and celebrities and stuff. And it's weird because we talked about this last week with did you see the Kojima Domino's pizza thing?
I heard you guys talking about it. Okay. I did not see it.
Yeah. So okay, well, then you have context at least. I feel like it's this weird thing where for me, most people couldn't get away with doing that, but for some reason Kojima is very sincere in the way he engages with things that otherwise seem like sellouty or shitty or like glomming onto pop culture in a way that I find kind of tasteless. So like I am tempted to give Kojima the pass on doing something that I don't like, which is like collecting pop culture icons and putting them in a game as sort of like a tangential signifier of importance, of cultural importance. Cause like I don't buy that. Like if you have Timothée Chalamet in your video game, it doesn't mean that I'm like, wow, this must be a good video game, must be good art. And you know, likewise, I don't feel that way if you put like Guillermo del Toro in a game, or if you have like Conan O'Brien pop up and do a weird cameo. It actively kind of like turns me off. So yeah, I don't know. That is the one thing, having not played these games, that makes me feel a little weird about it. Is it feels like, I mean, Kojima's talked a million times about how he wants to make, like, he wish he was making movies and stuff instead of games sometimes, and it does feel like this is a weird in between where it's like, it's collecting like movie clout, but it's not leveraging those people into performances that are maybe that the thing you would assume that would go along with having people of that caliber.
Yeah. I think in a way I'm, Metal Gear Solid 5 exists, and I think that makes this all a little bit easier for me, because I think Metal Gear Solid 5 is the most systemic and most... It's Kojima's open world game. Like it is the Metal Gear Solid open world game. You know, Kiefer Sutherland's notwithstanding, they don't do too much of the, celebrity thing, and it's immensely systemic, like super cool. Some of that stuff's buried pretty deep. I think that maybe there's a problem in its design in that regard. But it's so, like, you watch videos of the shit people do in that game, and it's just completely insane. And there's crazy shit in there too, right? Like sending the guys up in balloons and they turn up at your base and things like that. But it still felt real, and that there were real stakes, and I don't know, it felt somewhat connected to something that mattered. But the world in Death Stranding is so, I don't know, unbelievable, if that matters. And that's clearly downstream of them making some design decisions to not, to have all of society just be people on terminals that you interact with, you know what I mean? Stuff like that, which has a cost to it. So I don't know. I hope he doesn't make another. I think we're done with them. Like, that's kind of, I still haven't completed this one, but I would like to see him. I think they've already talked about some other project that they're going to work on as well. But yeah, I would like to see less of this and more. I don't know. I'd like to see more. I'm sitting here saying game design ground broken. This is, like, on a design perspective, super novel as well. I don't know what it is. I have a thorn in my foot about this one that I didn't really on the first one, because the first one was like the first one, and I was just grateful that people were making weird things. But I definitely do think some of the author worship on these things is overblown. And I don't know.
Do you think this is pure speculation? This is me asking, not proposing like an interpretation, because again, I have not played these games. I wonder if part of it is that, like, I have known, having gone to film school, you meet some insufferable pieces of shit. And sometimes you'll like watch a truly just like terrible art film, just like a real bad movie. Not even like that was like challenging, just like that was bad. And someone will sort of like make the argument that it's good in a weird sort of almost contrarian way, because it feels like good in some way to be like, I'm the only one who understands this like weird obtuse thing.
Yeah.
I wonder if in some sense Death Stranding, a bit of its like cultural capital is that it is like an accessible, like I like the weird frictional thing bit. I don't know. I'm again totally speculating because I've not played these games.
I think I think that carries some weight. Yeah, I think, which is also like not a bad thing if
No,
we're
of course
making
not.
things that are mainstreamy and weird. That's why it's so hard to like critique it, because I'm also not somebody who overly critiques games. I'm happy for them to be what they are. But I don't know. I think there's something about these that I feel like in 10 years time we'll probably have a bit of a, you know what it reminds me of a little bit. And I don't think this will happen probably. And I think this in a way saves Death Stranding some face and makes my point a little bit silly. But it reminds me a little bit of like the way we now look at early walking simulators, where we go, oh, they were so naive. You know what I mean? They were trying to tell these sweet stories, and they're just kind of cringy now, you know, because we didn't have good stories yet, or we didn't know how to tell stories in this way. And I kind of feel like that way a bit about this, where games just aren't really good at doing things cinematically with actors this way, and because not many of them do. And I think this is also true of games like The Last of Us Part 2. You know what I mean? I think games that have the money behind them to make stuff that is like very well polished and well shot and has all of the sort of artifice of cinema in particular, I think makes stuff look cinematic. I mean, to a similar extent, I feel like Noclip has gotten away with that. All we did
Use a nice camera and light
was
it well.
use a nice camera
Yeah.
and light it well, exactly 100%, and have thoughtful editing. And you can make things look like they are more important and cost more than
it's the YouTube
right?
comment that says like, wow, the production value on this is crazy. And it's like, what did you learn any, what about the content of the thing? You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah. And I think because they have, you know, these games are so cinematic and have such great production design, like that, like it's the world that's built and the clothes they wear and where they live and the enemies and all that sort of stuff. And certain amount of that has to do with narrative, of course, but like Sam Porter Bridges could look like a fucking doofus so easily, but they made this delivery boy look like a mech, you know what I mean? Like he looks like badass. And I think a lot of that stuff hides or protects or camouflages something that's a lot less interesting under the surface.
Yeah, it's
Guerrilla's
interesting.
tech as well, you know.
Also, to be clear, like if you are listening to this and you sincerely love Death Stranding 2,
Yeah,
that is fucking awesome. Because like the last thing I want to do is I really like Yasujiro Ozu's movies, and I fucking hate when people are like, you know, you'll see like a Reddit thread or like a TikTok video that's like, can we all stop pretending that like we love these boring fucking black and white movies? And it's like, and nothing pisses me off more than just being like, you don't actually like that thing. You just want to be seen as liking a thing that is like obtuse or, you know, old or like, you know, oh, you love Citizen Kane, or you're just saying that because you want to like a movie that's supposed to be good. So if you love this fucking game, please don't feel like we're invalidating your genuine love of this game.
Yeah, and I have to play more, and maybe it'll turn itself. You know, I'll and I enjoyed what I played. I enjoyed playing. And you know what it is? I kind of want to speak to this a bit because, like, I think this happens a lot with critique. For some reason, there are some games or movies, whatever it is. There's some things that, like, myself included, they rub you up the wrong way a little bit, and I'm not sure if it's because I want to vocalize something that I feel like is out of step with the mainstream appreciation of something. And it can sound like you're being a bit of a contrarian. Or in my case, it can sound like I've spent 20 minutes criticizing a game that is actually on the face of it, a good game. You know what I mean? Like, but I am making this big point, critiquing it. I had a similar experience with, I watched Warfare, the Alex Garland movie, which I kind of didn't want to watch because I knew about what it was. It is a movie based on the memories of a bunch of Iraq war vets who had a real bad day at the office, let's say. And it's told from their perspective and only their perspective. It's basically what happened that day. There's a very ill-conceived intro and outro. I'll say that pretty happily. But it is essentially an apolitical war movie about the Iraq War, which is psychotic as far as I'm concerned.
I feel like that's Alex Garland in a nutshell.
100%. I don't know what happened. One of his gym bros is a Trump fan, or his liberal cousin pisses him off. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, between this and Civil War, he is sitting on the fence and so he's sitting on the fence and as such saying nothing while but making art about things that are maybe a better writer or a better director could make the apolitical Civil War, or the Civil War movie that doesn't pick sides, that has a coherent idea in it, or the war movie about the illegal invasion of a sovereign nation by a colonial superstate, a war machine that says nothing about anything to do with that. But it is crazy. And when I watch that movie, it's really well shot. The acting in it is good. The cast are great. They do a great job. A lot of the scenes in it are compelling. It's exciting. It's visceral. It's all of these positive things. But because of the central sin of this movie, I could not enjoy it. It just annoyed me. And I think there's a similar thing happening sometimes with Death Stranding, with people who really didn't like the first one, and I did, even though I qualified it a million times, and this one here. And maybe someone who studied English or is a better critic than I am would be able to voice these things in a way. And maybe it's just a intellectual failing on my part, but it's a similar thing, and it is interesting. It's an interesting thing that happens. Do you remember when Tom McShea did the BioShock 4.0 review for GameSpot? The guys launched a new version of the website that would allow the staff to do multiple reviews. So to launch this, Tom went back and reviewed BioShock, which he hated. No, it was a BioShock Infinite. It was BioShock Infinite, sorry. Yeah. And he gave it a 4.0. And I remember thinking, and a lot of us in the staff were thinking, did we just invent this thing so people can dog on shit they don't like? Is that what we're doing? Is that what criticism is? Maybe it is. I don't know. But yeah, it's obviously a big part of critiquing and talking about games and stuff. And we tend to let games be what they are and sort of meet them on their own terms, I think. But for whatever reason, I find that really hard with Death Stranding too. I find it hard to just meet it on its own terms. I don't know why.
Could be a cilantro situation. It could just be a super taster for the soapy taste of Hideo Kojima. Exactly,
yeah. I gotta put more Hideo in my mouth and see how I feel about it. I'm going to do that. I'm going to endeavor to play more Death Stranding too and see, now that I've gotten that off my chest, because that sometimes helps. I'm not going to forgive Alex Garland for making the apolitical Iraq war movie. That's something that's...
You should not. Alex Garland is it's a shame because he's written some fucking great movies.
Annihilation's terrific.
But he did take that. It's an adaptation of a book, so I feel like he gets away with a lot of that.
I think he wrote Men, which I have not seen, but I've seen enough of to be ooh.
But Ex Machina is that's a good movie, but you can get away with sort of ambiguous sort of Aesop's fable parables about humanity when they're about sort of these mostly fictional speculative sci-fi. It's this machine lady's locked in a room. Are we the real monsters, or is what if the monster gets out? And it's that's cool because that's not real. If it was a real historical event of a robot lady that was locked in a room, then I feel like I'd feel a little differently about him being like, is it bad? I don't know. Is it bad? And it's like, you're fucking writing the story. Tell me, like, you don't have to. Good art leaves room for interpretation. That is like, that's a very, uncontroversial statement. But like, when your real art is about a real historical event, I feel like it's just an abdication of your duty as an artist to not do the research required and process those events within yourself, and at least come out of it with some sort of like, even if you're gonna sort of play both sides a little bit and be like, oh, well, like here's, they're just soldiers. They're just like trapped in this situation. It's like, they're just doing what they had to do. At least like make a larger point through the ambiguity about like explore different philosophical lenses on the situation rather than just totally abdicating your duty as a fucking human being with a brain.
Yeah, I feel like it's like cowardice to be like, oh,
exactly.
Well, you fill in, we're not, it's not like a painting where like, you are bringing your experience as a person and filling in half of the canvas with your mind. Like Herzog makes more fictional documentaries that speak to larger truths than any Alex Garland like technical exercise in preserving memory and reality. Like, we interview people for a living. People are terrible at telling their own stories. They are telling a version of their story. I guess it says memories, so they get away with it. But like, what are you getting? If you interview 20 people about this thing that happened, yeah, you have like this technical breakdown of what happened, but like, you're getting the sort of the median of the experience, or you're the part of the Venn diagram in the middle that's all connected, and like, how can you make, I don't know, it seems completely insane to me that you would make a movie about this incident and not talk about how it affected any of these people. It's just the thing. And like, is the point war is bad because it's not 1949? Like, we know war is bad. Is it like poor Americans shouldn't have to sign up to the military and watch their friends die? I don't think that was the point, or necessarily what was happening to these SEAL team people. Maybe they were happy to go to war. Yeah, I don't know.
Now I'm picturing the Grizzly Man scene where Herzog is like, "You must never listen to this." Except he's holding a copy of Alex Garland's Warfare, and he's saying, "You must never watch this."
My favorite. That's really. Oh, that's our thumbnail. My favorite idea, because we've talked in the past in this podcast about how much Herzog lies, right, in his documentaries and puts up quotes that nobody ever said, all this shit, right? It's brilliant. My favorite reality of the end of Grizzly Man is that the tape was damaged and he couldn't hear anything.
Oh, I've never heard that interpretation. That's great.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my own like little brain worm about that. That like, and I doubt that's the case, but I think if that was the case, he's a genius.
That makes that scene so much funnier because he sits there listening intently to it, and he's like, oh, he's like grimacing. Now I'm just imagining it's just static, and he's just like, all right, well, this scene's gonna suck if I actually just say, oh, it's broken.
He makes the story because that's what
funny.
He does, right? Like, that's so much of his movies are him making the story to speak to a wider truth, and it affects people, and you feel something. So then it's true. If somebody, it's like, you guys are talking about the Stephen King book, right? It's like that thing, right? He talks about time travel, right? Where it's like, I wrote something, and then 30 years later, you were hearing it, and we're both in the same room looking at the, whatever it is, bunny rabbit or whatever. That's telepathy, right? That's art. And yeah, so that it works. Like, it's a lie, and it's awful. It's lying. It's like the biggest sin a child can do, right? But it's like in service of this more beautiful thing. And like, yeah, I think that's why. Maybe it's just different strokes for different folks. Maybe other people would be repulsed by that. The idea that they are being manipulated by somebody who says this is true. You know what I mean? Maybe that's the thing that they'd get on a podcast and scream about for 30 minutes. Don't watch Warfare. It's an entertaining movie.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah. You know what? I watched it like I watch like police body cam videos on YouTube. Where
That's
it's
true.
like-
I did watch Sicario with like a similar mentality. So
That was a cool movie. All this happens in one building, basically, so it's got lower budget than Sicario. Doesn't have that awesome shootout scene on the border. Oh man! All right, Jeremy. Let's try and. Does Ruffy and the Riverside have anything to do with the Iraq War, the invasion of Iraq?
let's see. In the sense that in the sense that the American government's expectations were higher, and then the reality was somewhat sorely mismatched and misaligned. Yes, because I played the demo for Ruffy the Riverside. I believe it's Steam Next Fest, and
You enjoyed it a lot.
I quite liked it. It has interesting aesthetic. It has charm. It has wonderful music, and it has really interesting novel mechanics, which I will describe in a moment. I feel like the game kind of disappointed me a little bit.
Okay.
And I would kind of like to talk about like the mismatch of why going deeper kind of revealed what I didn't really like about it. So Ruffy in the Riverside, this is a 3D puzzle platformer. It's clearly nostalgic for the era of Banjo-Kazooie and these like N64 and PS1 platformers, very like cartoonish and over the top and bombastic and colorful. It has this gorgeous mixture of sort of like hand painted textures on 3D objects, almost like World of Warcraft. Like it has this very like painterly texture feel to the world. And then the characters are these like Paper Mario sort of like scribbly, scratchy paper cutout characters that are like amazingly animated. They sort of do that like undulation thing. There's a term for it. It's not boiling, but it's something like that, where like hand drawn characters that have multiple passes of them will sort of like undulate a little bit. Just this beautiful like hand drawn feel to everything. And it looks so good. It sounds so good. The sound effects are amazing. The music is like fucking beautiful. There's an intro story beat that's just like having to say goodbye to sort of a father figure in the first few minutes.
Oh, yeah,
and then this like Ghibli ass piano comes over. And I was like, maybe it's because I was exhausted from 10 hours of editing the Battlefield video yesterday and finishing it. But I did not have the emotional fortitude to be prepared for that. It actually hit me in a way that I was not expecting from this like twee little, lighthearted platformer. And so all of that is amazing, and the core mechanic of it is what really drew me to this game, because we've talked about this before, that if you're going to do a game that's capitalizing on the nostalgia that people have for something like Banjo-Kazooie or whatever, you can't just do nostalgia. You can't just be like, remember Banjo-Kazooie? What if like there were more levels for it and different characters? Like that's
Right.
you can do that, but like that's not what interests me as a person who plays games. You should do something new with the idea. If you're utilizing nostalgia, it should be a Trojan horse to get me interested in this thing, because you have new ideas to do within that world. And Ruffy in the Riverside does have a really interesting new idea. So it has a texture swapping mechanic. So throughout the world, there are objects you can scan with right bumper, and when you scan them, you capture the texture of them, which you can then project with right trigger onto other objects. So, for example, if there are big stone blocks that are like too heavy to move or break, and then you see a tree, you can scan the wood of the tree and project it onto the stone block, and suddenly now the stone block is breakable. So in theory, this is amazing. This is like immersive sim levels of interaction within a 3D platformer. When I played the demo, there were a handful of really interesting interactions that emerged through this. There was like stuff like I mentioned, where there will be a bunch of stone blocks lined up, and you have to create like lined up too high for you to jump on to get up onto a platform. So you're like, what do I do with this? You scan the tree, you turn some of the blocks to wood, you break certain ones of them, and you make like a staircase out of the remaining blocks.
I remember there
like
was one where you were like freezing the water and things like that, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So those two were sort of the big primary examples in the demo, and that was enough for me. I was like, wow, if the rest of the uses of this ability are as clever as these, this game is a 10 out of 10. I feel like those two interactions are the two coolest interactions I have seen with the texture swapping mechanic. It feels a little bit like, yeah, I mean it's the struggle you run into if you design a truly novel mechanic, is that it's sort of unexplored territory, and it's like, all right, shit, well, we have the cool idea, now we have to figure out 8 hours of game to do with this, enough interactions. And it feels to me like the puzzles in Ruffy are so like binary. They're very lock and key. It feels like there is
Right.
one specific way to solve everything. And that to me it takes the wind out of my sails on the whole appeal of this game, which is that like there should be an insane breadth of options for how to interact with puzzles, but there should be at least a couple ways to solve a puzzle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. It's like instead of it being a sort of the immersive sandbox, it felt like where you have all these tools and perhaps a few of them will work in interesting different ways. It's more the lock and key sort of problem solving of an adventure game almost, where like you need to find the specific solution for this specific puzzle.
Yeah.
So there was kind of like an expectation mismatch there, and probably also like it's just not as novel as the alternative.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like it's a novel mechanic on its surface, but in actual practice, it's more like like a classic point and click adventure where there's like one specific key item that will unlock the puzzle door. So the result of this is that in playing, like 2+ hours, probably like I checked a walkthrough just to see how long it was and how far I was through it. I'm more than a quarter through the game according to this. So I've played a good chunk of it. It feels like every puzzle I've interacted with thus far, despite like the presentation being beautiful, and every time I'm like, oh, this is like, maybe this is going to be the one because this is cool and charming looking. It feels like I'll approach a puzzle and it's either a sort of like non-puzzle, like I will immediately look at it and intuitively know how to solve it. Like there's no sort of like inference or thinking or sort of interacting cognitively with the puzzles. Or the other end of the spectrum is that it is like security through obscurity, and that it's like I don't even know how to like begin to solve this because I just have to go around like scanning everything. And seeing which one of the things. So I'll give one example. There was like there are these walls where you can turn 2D, and it's like a little sort of like Mario platformer kind of thing. And there are these monsters in one of them that are like chomping and stuff. So I was like, all right, well, I can't jump over them. I can't jump past them. They just, if you walk near them, they kill you. So I was like, all right, I need to like kill them. I need to turn them into something. There's like lava. Maybe I can use the lava to kill them. Maybe I can melt them. Maybe I can like turn them into stone so they stop moving. Maybe I can turn them into wood so they break. None of these things work. It doesn't even let you apply the texture to the things that it doesn't want you to apply the texture to, because it would be an alternative solution to it. And so I was like, all right, well, maybe I talked to a little bird who gives you a hint nearby, and he's like, oh, well, if you could put them to sleep, then they wouldn't be biting you. So I was like, all right, well, I can see the sun. There's clearly going to be like an interaction with the sun character over there. Maybe I can turn the sun into the moon and it'll be night and they'll get sleepy. And like all of it, I tried a million things, all of which I thought were like, would have been interesting if they were valid solutions.
Reasonable solutions, maybe.
Yeah. Like if here's the thing is like a good puzzle shouldn't be like hard through obscurity. It should reward the player thinking laterally about it. And so even if there are 100 solutions to this puzzle and that really trivializes the puzzle, it doesn't matter because it makes the player feel smart that they found that their solution worked.
You know what I'm going to say about this is that, this is like an era specific problem almost. Like this is how a lot of these PS2 early Xbox puzzle games kind of worked.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, in the same way Banjo-Kazooie ended up doing nuts and bolts because they just went full sandbox because, I don't know, as a reaction or whatever. In the current epoch of gaming, you kind of, and what this was presenting, I totally get where you're coming from, where you're like, oh, this is not this is not the way to do this in 2025, maybe, or you can't give this much choice and then not allow people to utilize it all.
Yeah, I think the sort of dissonance between that and something like Banjo-Kazooie is that if that game is like 90% platforming and 10% puzzle, this game is like 95% puzzle and 5% platforming.
Okay, yeah.
I haven't had in like 2.5 hours. I haven't really had like maybe like a single like platforming kind of challenge at all. It's all been texture swapping, and in the texture swapping, it's all either been like exceedingly obvious or just like kind of tediously obscure what the solution was. So yeah, go ahead. A
lot of what you said doesn't necessarily make me think this, but do you think playing the demo might have also, because you've only played the first 2.5-3 hours, do you think replaying some of that stuff in the demo has sort of also colored that, or?
You would think so, but the demo was also structured differently. The demo had had sort of like I'm going to invoke Diddy Kong Racing for the 700th time on this podcast. In Diddy Kong Racing, there were like doors you could access. You had to collect a certain amount of, I think they were like balloons, basically like Mario 64. Stars, open doors. There's a hub world. You access the doors. The doors are different levels. That's how the Ruffy demo was. And I thought that was cool.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has these sort of like siloed off instanced levels that feel like here's a world which you can like transform everything. You can tear it apart. You could turn everything into fucking lava. And that is what I imagine this game would be, because when you limit the level, you enhance the amount of possibility, because you can, you don't destroy the overworld by doing all these transformations or whatever. The actual game, Ruffy in the Riverside, is much more like an overworld that you're going to different sections of. So I recognized bits of the demo in this open world, but the context in which you encountered them was totally different.
Oh, okay.
So there were familiar elements. There were a few bits that I recognized, but mostly it was in a different order, different bits, different approaches, and I would say it was like 80% new stuff that I hadn't experienced before. It just sort of like. Yeah, I feel like it's very hard to design a new type of puzzle mechanic. And then, the only way you figure out if it's a good puzzle mechanic is design a shit ton of puzzles for it. Right. And by that time you've made the whole game, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. So, all that being said, I think, it is an interesting game that tries some new stuff. And I think the presentation is fantastic. I'm going to keep playing it because I'm hoping that it like leans a little more on platforming stuff, and I'm hoping the puzzles get a little, in trying to get more difficult past like the second half, maybe it will intrigue me a little bit more. Sometimes I just need to be like, sometimes I need to encounter the full friction of a game to appreciate it. Like I've said, Unsighted was a game that I liked until the last boss, and then the last boss beat my ass so hard that I loved the game. So yeah, we'll see. It's but it's not quite what I expected, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Cool. Ruffy in the Riverside. There is still a demo available on Steam, or you can pick it up for $17.99 over there. It's got 57 reviews, very positive currently. When did it come out? Last week?
Yeah, the 26th.
Last week. Okay, 26th. From Socrates Laboratories UG. There you go, folks. All right, you'll report back on that, and I'll report back on Death Stranding too. We're having our little catch-ups on some of these games. Frank, do you want to talk a little bit about, I'm not sure, maybe we're going to do something on this? We'll see. Tell me about this, how do I, oh God, it's, let's call, I'm just going to read out the Steam description. How do you say Umamusume?
Umamusume.
Umamusume Pretty Derby is ready to race. Scout featured trainees and supporters as you navigate the immersive sports life simulation through the game's in-depth training system and top-of-the-line 3D graphics. That has told me nothing at all about this, what are we calling this, anime horse racing game. It's got 5,000 reviews on Steam almost, overwhelmingly positive. It came out last week. What the fuck is this, Frank?
So Uma means horse and Musume means young woman. To combine them, it's Horse Girls. Guys, the game
phew.
Horse Girls Pretty Derby. So this is a giant media franchise in Japan. I've seen in the corner of my eyes but never understood it. So in real life, these are all real horses. They're all in the Tokyo horse race or all around the world. And there's an anime component where they have taken real horses and made cute anime girl versions of them. There's an anime, there's trading cards. This game, it's a gacha game, so it's a phone game. They finally ported it to Steam and translated it in English. I think this originally came out in 2021.
Okay.
So 4 years later now the Western audience can play it, or English speaking. Or if you could play it with Google Translate previously, but the desktop version's on Steam. This is very much operates like the Chow Garden in Sonic Adventure. So Umamusume, you pick your horse girls. When you start, they give like any gacha game, they give you a bunch of free currency. Pull your horse girls, and you get a bunch of Umamusume. And then you start your career mode. And the premise of the career mode, it's honestly not too different from Needy Streamer Overload or any of these games. You have an X amount of days to win these races, and if you do not place first in these races, your career is over. It's kind of like a roguelike. So you train your horse, and you say you have 10 days to the race. You have 10 days. You can train power, speed, stamina. You click the button. It does like a little percentage thing. You get your stats up. You can take rest. You can take your horse girl out. So some of them have different interests. Every horse girl has her own story. There's a horse girl that is has the soul of a wrestler. Her dad gave her a luchador mask. So this racehorse has a wrestler's mask on, and she likes going to wrestling games, wrestling matches. There is a horse girl that is an American horse, and she has a gun. So she likes going to rodeos and eating steaks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
every horse girl, and you can buy figures of the horse girls and things like
And
that.
when you say horse girls,
Yes. These aren't they're like, it's
They're
not
not-
like, it's not a horse and it's like it's a mare. No, it's straight up like a girl, but she has horse ears, and that's it. I think a horse tail. That's it. They're just straight up like anime girl.
and
Now,
they're
this
just
was-
running.
Yeah,
This
they're
was the
running.
fundamental misunderstanding I had about this game.
Yeah.
Is that I had seen screenshots and I was like, oh, certainly these are the young ladies who ride the horses.
Exactly.
But no, they are the horses.
I have been trying in all this gameplay to see when they get on the horse.
I've been flipping
they
through
are the
with
horses.
the
They
screenshots,
are
being
the
like,
horses.
wow, there's not a lot of horses in this horse game.
Well, they're
They-
running around a lot, and I'm like, why are they
Yeah.
running so much? Oh,
Yeah.
They're
penny
the
dropped.
horses.
They're the horse, but they also have to go to the horse academy, and they also have to do homework and take tests and things like that. So it's like the life of a horse girl is nonstop busy. But when it's the horse race, it's straight up like it's a derby. So it's just like the Chow Garden racing. There'll be like 12 horse girls, and you see your horse girl and where they're at, and like how you train them, they unlock special abilities. So like the American horse girl will throw or shoot her gun in the air and get an extra sprint ability. And so. I don't know. It's all RNG whether or not your thing goes. I think it's like stat checks.
I feel like people should like really just to paint a visual. Imagine like a half the people at Anime Expo. Just imagine like a crowd of young women who are at Anime Expo running on like not even like a different looking horse, just a regular horse track, like a regular like circle with the like bar that goes around the outside, and they're just running, and also running incredibly fast, like breakneck horse speeds, but they're running in two legs while wearing clothes that are absolutely not helping with like aerodynamics, or you know what I mean? Like imagine watching a bunch of athletes wearing like large dresses while doing the 600 meters. Like that's the look here.
Does this game explore the sort of like ontological nature of the horse girls? Are they human?
I don't know. They don't really they don't get that introspective. I think just they're all so there are actually horse girls, and then there's like humans. Like
Okay.
the teachers
Okay.
at the academy are straight up humans.
They are not horses.
They are not Umamusume. No.
Is
they're
there
straight
a
up-
caste system here? Is there like, do they talk down to the horse girls?
That's a good question.
I can't tell. I don't know. I feel like the tone is very inclusive and happy. Like there's no like snobby. Like I feel like everyone wants to win, so there's a little bit of that competitive spirit, but it's not like Euphoria. They're not like bullying the other girls. It's like everyone wants to be friends and everyone wants to do their best, but there can only be. But you do get like progression if you're in the top 5, and if you lose a race, you have 3 in your single career. You have 3 lives, and you can retry. You can retry a race. At the end of your career, you retire your horse, and when you when you start a new horse, you pick 2 legacy horses.
No.
So like Rogue Legacy, you
No.
use all the stats of your old horse to start the life of your new horse.
How
And
does this life of a new horse start?
It doesn't like it. It's just you restart, and it's like your day 1 at the horse academy. But yeah, it's just like end career.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's
Yes,
no glue factory.
No,
or-
no.
I was thinking more of a sort of broodmare situation. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
Jesus, that's
Although
way
there
darker.
doesn't seem to be any stallions in this world, so
No.
thank God for that.
Yeah, there's no horse boys.
No horse boys.
I guess unless like the people
you said it
playing
was
the game.
inclusive.
Yeah. So, and the other fun thing too is like they always say like what track it is. So it is. I think it's all real like world racetracks in
Wow.
Japan. So it's like the
Wow.
Tokyo Speedway or whatever, and like the Sendai, whatever. And it's like, oh, these are all real locations.
They
And
signed
again,
off on it. They were like,
it's-
"Yep, go for it, man."
It's genuinely super funny to like, because I've been playing as like El Condor Pasa. So she is a luchador horse. But if you type in El Condor Pasa horse, it shows you the picture of like the real horse. And so
Wow.
like it's so funny if you go on like the Wikipedia, it's like if you go to images, you'll see like El Condor Pasa, you'll see like the actual horse and then the anime girl. And if you go to the anime girl's Wikipedia, the top will be like the anime girl and the bottom will be like the real horse she's based on. So it's so funny, like people are getting obsessed with like the horse girls, but there's also the real horse variants. And there's figures of the horse girls, there's also figures of the horses. So this is just a giant weird world that I'm like dying to get into and learn more of. Cause like this stuff is everywhere in Japan. And even like at Anime Expo, I'll see people cosplaying as the horse girls. I had no idea what this was, but it is blowing up on Steam. And I've ignored like Genshin Impact. There's like Little Nicky or whatever that dress collecting game is called. All these gacha games have never got me, but the horse one is like
Little Nicky is the Adam Sandler movie.
What's the pretty dresses?
Fuck yeah! What
Infinite Nicky.
Little Nicky. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. I just was picturing anime Adam Sandler doing his.
I mean, there is a
Nicky
Game
voice.
Boy Color game, so there's pixel art
Of Little Nicky?
Yeah, there's a Game Boy Color game of Little Nicky.
Jesus.
But like I haven't spent any money on the thing. It does the same thing. You log in every day, you get points. You can play this on mobile, but I don't know.
This is how Frank gets addicted to Japanese horse race betting.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. Japanese horse racing is operated by the Yakuza. So this is like a long tail end of like getting otaku to actually like. I think this is intentional. They want you to fall in love with the horse girl. Then they want you to go to the real horse betting and bet on the real horses. So you're not only sinking money into your favorite fictional idol horse girl, you're also betting money on the real world horses.
Well, El Condor Pasa died in 2002 of horse colic, so they're not.
Oh my god!
They're not.
But she's my favorite horse girl.
Yeah, she's
I don't know.
She died
my
before this horse girl was born. So.
Oh my god! Well, now we're honoring the legacy.
I'm looking at the Steam page. One of the horse girls appears to be called Vodka. Is that a Russian one?
I think so. There's vodka. There's someone else that's named like Hennessy or something like Bourbon. Bourbon is another horse. Well, all the race horses, they're all based on real world race horses. So it's the horses are wild. And there's 2 seasons of an anime. There's
horses
a movie.
are not wild. They're stable, Frank.
And then the other thing, if you get first place after every horse race, there's an idol concert. So it's like a 3-minute music video of them all dancing, and it's like whoever's first place is the leading singer. And so it's just it's just
Jesus. They never get a rest.
No,
Imagine
it's
running
crazy.
a race and then having to do a fucking dance off.
And if you make when you're training them, they have a stamina meter, and like if you try to train when you're low stamina, you have higher risk for injury, which will set you back stat points. So you are supposed to rest the horse girls. You can also take them out to increase their mood. So you can go to amusement parks, you can go to wrestling shows. It's it's got it all.
Now this has got me curious. This has got me curious about other because like here's the thing: if this game did not have the cute waifus, it'd probably still be a good, interesting game mechanically. But now I'm wondering like what other situations can we transpose the waifus onto and create? You know what I mean?
I don't think we need to go down that.
Well,
road.
no. Like what about like Gangsters 2, the classic PC game? What if all of the gangsters were cute anime girls?
That's good. That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying. What we need to do is get the waifu otaku crowd to play some good ass games.
Yeah, or just like any what other situations can we explore that by putting a cute girl into it is like suddenly has a new lease on life.
I feel like that was platforming with Lara Croft, and then they made a really good game.
That's true.
It had a lady in it. She wasn't a horse lady though, so that's the big thing is you're getting both the equine gamer and the girl gamer or girl appreciator gamer.
It's true.
Like this game, like Umamusume Pretty Derby. There we go. Can they break their legs and get sent to the glue factory, Frank? Or
so I'm trying to think. Like you'll get injured, but then you do get time to recover. But if you miss out on those stat points, you won't get first place, and you'll have to retire your career at some point.
Okay. Hey, look, man. We all throw our last baseball one day. We don't know what day that is, but it comes. Umamusume Pretty Derby. Pick it up now on Steam for free to play.
The way you said that was like it sounded like you were like an Italian grandmother. Like that was like something like you just served a nice meal for your family and you were like Umamusume.
So Umamusume, Nico Passaggeri. It's a me, Ferrario.
Yeah, Umamusume is on the Battle Pass holder list.
My God. Yeah, it's up there. Absolutely. Yeah, that's good stuff. Congratulations to everyone who made that a horse video game. That seems like a fun thing to explain to your in-laws at Thanksgiving. that's all the games we're talking about this week. Umamusume, Pretty Derby, Rematch, Ruffy and the Riverside, and Dune Awakening. Frank, do we got some emails here?
Yeah, and people can send us emails, podcasts@noclip.video, or in our Patreon Discord in the podcast chat channel. Neil sent us an email about weird history games. They said, hey, loved last week's pod about climbing games. It reminded me of a great indie shooter called Isonzo. It's a milsim FPS set on the Italian front in World War I. Isonzo has a game mode called Ascent, where the Italian team has to literally climb the mountain cliff face with pythons, ropes, and ice picks while Austro-Hungarians throw rocks down at them. It's bizarre, vertigo-inducing, and it really happened. Those battlefields were up in the Alps. Both the Italians and Austro-Hungarians would trigger avalanches, blow whole tops of mountains, and dig massive tunnels.
God.
Insane stuff. I was wondering if there are any odd or weird historic events you think would make a great game. I was thinking the 1908 New York to Paris car race could be a brilliant Pacific Drive-like.
Oh, that's good. I like that. Yeah, there's a bunch of really good, I mean, racing-wise, there's, what did they used to call them? There was these point-to-point races they did in South America, which were completely insane. Just like sort of Dakar, Rally, Baja sort of stuff, Baja stuff where you're, doing long distances. And we'll see you at the other end. I didn't know about this. It's Zonzo. It's on Steam for like $8 at the moment. And yeah, it's an indie ferocious alpine warfare. So I guess this is like World War I Italian front, which I know nothing about, but is presumably happening in like those mountains in the north. That is completely nuts. I'm a big fan of JFK Reloaded.
Yep.
That's a good historic game.
Yeah, odd weird historic events. I have always wanted a Spanish Civil War FPS. Asymmetrical warfare between the fascists and like a bunch of anarchist farmers.
Get on it, Machine Games. It could be the next one. That's a good one. I was so close to getting my Viking Waterford game, and they fucking did Dublin instead with that Valhalla DLC in Ireland.
Oh, yeah.
I was crestfallen. I was so close to get my weird little hometown in a video game. Frank, you got any? You're a history buff.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about the Titanic. There is like an adventure. There is like a cheesy adventure game, like first person, like whatever. You play poker and stuff. But I don't know. I was trying to think like, could you do like a beat 'em up on a Titanic, or like do something cool or some alt history stuff with it? I don't know.
Do it like JFK Reloaded, but it's the opposite, where you're trying to not hit the iceberg.
You're trying to sink the ship.
Yeah, or like the ship that starts with hitting the iceberg, and you are like You're like the captain, and your job is to save as many people as possible.
Okay, wait, alternate flip on that. You are an adult man, and you're trying to get on the lifeboats without seeming like an asshole.
So you're like, okay, do I dress up like a woman, or do I dress up like a child?
Or you're like, women and children first. Oh, there's one seat left. I should probably just take it.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or do you jump on last minute, or just like steal one without anyone knowing and have it to yourself?
Like, because Billy Zane's character, he takes the kid and it's like, oh, me, my child. He just,
you're just Billy Zane.
It's like, that's pretty cool.
What the game
he
is.
He stole a seat and a human.
Right?
Yeah.
He human trafficked his way off of the Titanic.
He's at the top of the leaderboard on this fictional game that I'm proposing.
Or you could just cling onto a piece of wood, and there's like a stamina meter for how frozen you are. You could like try and hold on.
It turns blue. Your face turns blue slowly.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's a good shout. That's a good one. Titanic.
I would love a game that what was the fucking Forgotten City? What was the game that was the puzzle game?
City was great.
I would love a game that is kind of like in that style, where you're just like a philosopher in ancient Greece, and you're just like walking around the agora, and people are like, "Oh, I invented the triangle." And you're like, "That's cool."
Do you know what I did recently? Is I played the playtest of I Am Jesus Christ.
Oh my god, dude!
I got on the playtest of I Am Jesus Christ.
Are you allowed to talk about it?
I am. That it said you could publish your gameplay, so presumably that also means you can talk about it. I mean, yeah, it's right there. It's not going to win any Game of the Year awards. I'd say that. Sort of respect for trying to do it, but I feel like it's very weird playing a video game where you were Jesus Christ.
Is it like Is
It is
it?
very weird.
Is this a game that's made by religious people to
Yes.
spread the gospel? This is not like a
Correct.
silly. This isn't like Goat Simulator.
Correct.
Okay.
This is level 1, quest 1, meet John the Baptist. Like we are starting off with Jesus, we're starting off after the 15-year gap or whatever. You know what I mean? After the 20-year gap. He's a young man. He's about to start his journey. In a way, it made me wonder if Mary in real world was like kind of like a kind of like the motivator for this whole thing. She was like, we also met angels in our life. You should, you know what I mean? I had
Like
this
she's
like
a
weird
pageant mom.
yes, I had a little. I never considered that in my life. That actually
That might be blasphemy. I don't know.
Mary, yeah, it definitely is. That Mary was maybe like a dance mom, and sort of like pushed him in that direction and filled his brain with stuff. And Joseph was like, "Just let me cut some fucking wood over here." Jesus Christ! Well, you probably didn't say that. It's weird when people call you Jesus because it feels like they're cursing. It's like an open, you go to the stall and the Romans, man, they're fucking people are just chatting about Pontius Pilate. It's very like it kind of reminds me of like Mr. Burns, the movie. Have you ever seen that? Mr. Burns, I think we talked about it on here before. It's called Mr. Burns, the play. It's a play where the first half is a bunch of people talking about, it's like the end of the world happened and they're all talking about their favorite Simpsons episodes. And then when you come back after the intermission, like 200 years has passed and there is a religion based on the Simpsons, based on like misinterpretations of episodes of the Simpsons that people have forgotten about, that have misremembered and stuff like that. Which is, it's a very cute, interesting novel play on how we remember history and all that sort of stuff. And there is a bit of when you're playing this game, you're like, they're just constantly referencing scriptures. I know, like none of the people who lived in this time had anything else to say except for what was captured by the Gospels. That's it. It's just entirely, which look, you're making a game about, but there's no one like, just like, I guess I've heard some people complaining about, this and that, but it's usually like, oh, the Romans keep taking our grains and all this sort of stuff. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Curiously
check it
white
out.
as well. Everyone's curiously white. Well, I mean, Mary is in particular, and Joseph, and probably Jesus, but everyone else is a bit more ethnic. But yeah. Hey, look, I wasn't in Judea in the fucking year zero or whatever. So what do I know?
You think people knew how satisfying it was to say Jesus Christ's name as an exclamation, even when he was like a guy that was around?
Yeah, it must have, right? It's got a good timbre to it.
It's got good mouthfeel. You're just
does,
like,
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Like
Jesus Christ,
it is
yeah.
just a great, it feels good to say.
3 syllable, bam, bam, bam. There you go. 3 strikes, you're out. Yeah, I'll play some more I Am Jesus Christ. He's got a like Jesus vision. Like he's got like a detective vision.
Oh, he has like Arkham, he has like Batman vision.
Yeah.
Or like Witcher vision.
It has a name. I forget. It's like Spirit Vision or something. I forget. It's something like that. I went up to a guy who was clearly had leprosy and pressed E on him. And they said, you have not unlocked this miracle yet or something. So I'm looking forward to getting the saving leprosy. Hopefully there is you have unlocked the forgiving the tax man. And I can find Zacharias and
Gonna get the table flipping ability.
exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of, it's very indie. It's probably someone's first game or close to it. So I'm not gonna, it's too easy to drag right. For daring to make a game about their religion or for, making a game about something so lofty, but it's not like going to be a polished AA experience about Jesus. It's going to be an indie game about Jesus, which is weird. It's weird to be I wanted to get to the quest faster, so instead of walking, I jumped along the rooftops of this village.
You Skyrimmed a fucking village as Jesus.
As Jesus. It felt particularly weird because I was Jesus. If I was just myself in this world, this like open world, I was just like a proxy, whatever, that'd be one thing. but I was Jesus Christ bounding across people's houses, and that felt very strange.
You know, it'd be an interesting game. I'm not saying this game should be this, but just like an alternate game pitch. It would be cool to like, you know how like in those days there were a lot of sort of people popping up who were like, actually, I'm a prophet and I know what's up and you should follow me. It'd be cool to have like a early 2000s Peter Molyneux style game where you're like building a cultic following, but there's like other people who are like going around and I don't know, maybe there's a reputation system. They're like,
that'd be great. Yeah, there should be like a cult simulator. Cult of the Lamb sort of did a lot. None of it was about like tricking people to join you. I thought obviously that's like the sort of most interesting part. But Cult of the Lamb was very funny in that it was kind of about the economy of running a cult, which is also very, very important. The Mormons have tithes, but in Cult of the Lamb, you got to sacrifice people. So that was pretty cool. Who do you sacrifice? Do we have enough X for this? And when your cult gets big enough, then suddenly you're like, there's all these extra strains on everything. There's not enough people praying. We gotta get them over there to pray. You're right. That would be a fun one. I feel like a Drug Wars kind of style, isometric cults, Age of Empires, but without the combat. You're just like building a society, and then like, oh, people are starting to not believe, and you're like, shit, we've got a new order of Kool-Aid coming in, or you know what I mean, like something like that. That'd be good. Let's combine that with the history one. Should we do like you could do like there's no Manson family game. There's no what was that famous one where the ATF just firebombed the
Ruby
house?
Ridge or Waco?
Waco, yeah, Waco. You could do like a Waco simulator, and you could try and get out of there. You're the one who doesn't drink the Kool-Aid. You need to get out without getting killed by the cult people or the ATF.
There's a horrible fucking movie version. I'm not saying it's a horrible movie, although I thought it was, about the whole Kool-Aid incident. And I had a friend who wanted to watch it one time, and he was like, "Oh, it's so good, we gotta watch it." And we smoked a ton of weed. And
oh no,
I would say 2/3 of the way through the movie, I paused it, and I was like, "This is horrible. Why did you want to watch this? There's like child actors pretending to die. This is this is horrible." So yeah, don't. That Nightmare Blunt rotation. Any of your friends, and the everyone dying from Kool-Aid movie. Jonestown.
Did people try to make Columbine games? Was that a thing?
I mean, on Newgrounds.
Yeah.
There's Pico Saves the School.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
That's sort of an anti-Columbine game.
It is. That's the thing. I don't think anyone's making a pro Columbine. That Gus Van Sant movie, Elephant, was pretty good. I remember that. It wasn't really technically specifically about that incident, but it was. I thought that was well done. It was very like human level and shocking.
There are probably like, I bet someone's made like a Doom mod that's just like in a high school or something, and it's called probably. Like Columbine.wad.
.wad, yeah, exactly. Something like that. Anything else for it's sad that all of the moon landing? Has anyone done a moon landing game?
A game about faking the moon landing.
Yeah, you're on the set. You're doing the whole thing. Yeah, I don't know. Not many movies about making the movies, except the movies, like Great Bullfrog Game or Lionhead.
Have you ever seen the guy from Nirvana the band made that movie about faking the moon landing? Is that right?
Oh, I haven't watched that one yet. Have you watched Blackberry yet?
No, I still haven't seen it.
Oh, watch Blackberry. It's so good.
Yeah, Matt Johnson, one of the
best. What's it called again? That moon landing one?
Operation Avalanche.
I think I might have.
It is. I think it's a little rougher on the edges at times, but it's fucking fantastic. And part of the joy of it is that in proper Nirvana the band style, they went to like where the actual like control room was. It's some like NASA area, which is now like a museum or whatever. Okay. And they went in period appropriate clothing. And they filmed there like without permission.
My God.
So I forget the exact story. I mean, this movie came out in like 2016, so it's been a while since I've seen it and since I read about this. But if I recall correctly, Matt Johnson is wearing his like, control room 1960s, 70s looking outfit. And the tour guide brought them in there. And he was like, "Can we just like have a minute alone in here?" And the guy was like, "Yeah." And then they shot a scene in there, so they just kind of like beg, borrowed, and
That is
steal.
incredible. I actually think I haven't watched this. I think I've watched the trailer so many times and never have. I'm gonna watch this week.
It's good. It's it's also it's fucking, I don't know how I didn't connect this. The Dirties is also a Matt Johnson movie, which is like a sort of like a Columbine inspired movie.
Yes, you're right. God, I
I
forgot
love that
about
movie.
that. I've not seen that one either.
Oh God, go watch the again.
Okay.
Filmed in like they would just go to fucking schools and film this movie that's about like a potential school shooting happening.
I'll watch this if you got to watch Blackberry. Blackberry's a
All
good
right,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, Blackberry's a good
Matt
time
Johnson
as well.
Film Club.
When is their new one coming out? Aren't they doing a Nirvana?
It's
the
been
band?
screened. So I don't know if I think Neon actually acquired it, so I think it's getting official distribution finally. I think
yeah.
in October or something.
March 9, 2025, it aired at South by Southwest.
Oh, brilliant! I had this weird thing. Where was I? I don't know where I was. I think I was on the road, and one night I decided to watch the Tom Cruise movie Oblivion because I thought I had watched it because I remember chunks of it, but I remembered a totally tangential version in my head, and so I couldn't tell if I had like watched it while stoned, perhaps, or like had just watched the trailer and read enough reviews that I'd filled in the gaps in my head of what I thought the movie was. But I sat down to watch it because I was like, I don't remember the end of this movie. And then I went to watch it and it was like completely different. It was like in my memory, I had an alternative version, like cut of the movie where like other characters weren't in it. The antagonist was this other person. It was really strange.
Were you thinking of Edge of Tomorrow?
No.
Okay.
So that's, which I've also watched, but you're right. Yeah, it was that movie, but I had just a completely different like cut in my memory. It was so bizarre. And then I watched the movie and I was like, no, I haven't seen any of this shit halfway through it. I was like, I don't know what happened. Did I have a concussion when I watched it and it just made the weird version in my head? It's an all right movie. It's pretty good. I think it was because I was missing playing Dune Awakening because it's kind of like Dune Awakening. It's just like on a big planet, no water, running around on a fucking little speed scooter thing. Maybe that was it. Yeah. History, video games. There we go. Got our email?
Yeah, quick one. Josh wrote in and said, you talked about F13 on last week's podcast. In Windows, you can actually use F13 through F24. I replaced caps lock with F13, and I have F14 bound to a foot pedal for push to talk in Discord. Do you have any unique customizations you use in your setup or workflow? Do you use a lot of hotkeys?
You guys use macros and anything?
In WoW, but that was
In WoW, yeah. I haven't done macros since WoW, I think.
Yeah, no, not really. I mean, I use a shit ton of hotkeys for like Blender and Premiere and Unity and stuff like that, but I don't have any like fucking foot pedals. That rules though.
I think if I remember right, I think I use Final Cut Premiere shortcuts on PC, but I use Premiere shortcuts on Mac, which is very, like, my brain is broken. It's like not a good way to do that. But for whatever reason, when I get to the other keyboard, because I have two computers hooked up to this monitor, so I have my Mac here, so I just swap the input on the monitor and I edit on one machine and then render on the other machine and bounce back between the two of them. Yeah, I'm able to do that, which sucks, but yeah.
I started fucking around with DaVinci Resolve a little bit the last couple of weeks. Yeah, just because it's got some powerful color grading tools. So if there's ever a project where we need to make it look like a 1970s Italian indie film or anything, you know who to call.
Let's make Italian Spider-Man. Let's make it happen. Italian Spider-Man. I don't know. Was it you that was the sicko that used the roller mouse for most of your?
Yeah, I used to get so much shit at GameSpot for it because we'd play Counter-Strike, and I had to bring my own trackball mouse. Although I was vindicated in later years because there were FPS, like competitive FPS players, like pro players, using trackball mouses because you can just fucking send that shit.
Can you even buy a trackball mouse anywhere? I feel like it's like.
Probably.
Is that are they super expensive?
No, this is oh my god, wait, why is this this is the shitty one I had was this the Logitech Trackman marble mouse, and why is this $200 on Amazon? That's
See,
supposed to be
that's
like
the
a scammer.
Like, I wonder, have they become like the menthol cigarettes of mouse things? They're just fallen so out of fashion you can't find them anywhere anymore. And
It was the best though, because like fucking like I would bring, if you have to say you're in an inhospitable environment without say you're on a plane, what are you gonna use, the little nipple mouse on your shitty fucking?
oh my god, remember those?
Yeah, or like the little flat mouse.
Trackpad.
Yeah, no, just get your trackball and set it on your lap, and you can be playing Counter-Strike in the sky.
Wow, look at that. Well, you can't because you can't connect to the internet, but otherwise,
You can play against bots, I guess.
Yes.
in which case you probably don't need a very good mouse.
No, you probably don't. You probably
But-
don't. Then.
Yeah, speaking of bots, I played. I had to fire up Battlefield 2 for a second for the edit yesterday, just to fill. There was like 3 little B-roll gaps, and one of them was a one shot of Battlefield 2, and I just fired up a bot match yesterday, and I just like it all came back to me. That game is fucking perfect, dude. If you like Battlefield 2, go play against bots for 5 minutes, and you'll feel something. I guarantee it.
Get your fill. You'll feel it, man. You'll feel it in your loins. Speaking of our loins, Frank, I believe next Friday is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 day, so looking forward to that personally. You guys got anything else you're going to play over the weekend this week? Happy Canada Day to Jesse, by the way. He's not around. And happy
Yeah, that's
4th
why
of
he's not
July
here.
to everyone else in the States.
That's
Look
true.
at that. Hopefully there hasn't been
I-
some sort of civil war started. Or maybe it's about time. I don't know. It depends who's starting it, I guess.
and who wins. Yeah, I don't know if I've got anything. I'm checking my Steam wish list right now. I would love to have something to play. I've been editing for the last like 4 days straight on this Battlefield thing, so
Nice.
I need a little game time.
Yeah, summer sale came and went for me because I wasn't here. And I still have Death Stranding to play and Dune to play and a bunch of other stuff to play. So, yeah, watch this space, folks. We will be back up on Noclip Crew for now. Jesse's working on another indie recommendation video. This one all about summer games with a summery feel that you can play and you might not have heard about. He's got some great stuff in there, including a new game from the Bokono people that came out last year, apparently, that completely flew under the radar.
Yeah, Natsuman.
Yeah, exactly. Is that what it's called?
Natsuman, yeah.
Natsuman? Beautiful.
It looks good. I only haven't grabbed it because it is, I think, $40. Let me confirm
Okay.
that. It is. Oh no, wait. Why? Maybe it's on sale. Oh, it's 50% off. It is $40. It's currently on sale for $19.99 though. Maybe this is the time.
I'm gonna have a little look at this World War One Zonzo game. Is this online only or is it single player? I can't tell. It looks completely bananas. Yeah, we'll have that video up. We'll have a bunch of stuff hitting. It is July actually now as we're recording this, so welcome to July. A bunch of stuff coming down the Noclip pipe, including the interview with David Goldfarb about it's basically a level by level breakdown of Battlefield 3. Not every level, but all the big hitters and a bunch of other good Battlefield bits and bobs in there. So if you're a Battlefield fan, you should dig in on that. Disco Elysium is the forefront of my edits at the moment. Gonna get that out later this month. And then we are doing lots and lots and lots and lots of secret work on Secret Tape. I guess I can officially just say that now, maybe a little bit. We'll see. The Noclip Crew project rebrand world that we're building over there. There's been lots of stuff happening in the background here, so we'll be excited to talk to you about that later this month. That'll all be launching in July, so keep your eyes and ears peeled for that over the next month. And yeah, we'll be back soon after that. If you have any question or if you have any emails, shoot them in. What is it again, Frank?
Podcasts at noclip.video.
And patreon.com/noclip if you want to support the work we do over here on the documentary side. All right, that's it. It's been a couple of hours. Happy Canada Day, guys.
Happy Canada Day.
Happy Canada Day. Happy 4th of July. Bye.